there. How are you?
How are you?
Good, very good, thank you.
Visitor center is going to be straight ahead. If you have any questions, you can enter the front desk.
Awesome.
Main trails through the building and out the back doors. Drink some water.
Perfect, thanks a lot, appreciate it.
Have a good one.
You too. Alright guys, we're getting outdoors here. Just made it to Walnut Canyon. Looks like it's pretty busy today, even though it's not summer anymore, but we should still have a good time, so let's go do this.
Walnut Canyon is a national monument located 10 miles southeast of Flagstaff, Arizona. It's less than 3 hours from Phoenix, which makes it a perfect day trip for me. Temperatures are a lot cooler at Walnut Canyon, and in the wintertime, the pathway will often be closed because of snowy conditions. I've been to Walnut Canyon numerous times. It's one of the more known attractions to those who live in and visit Arizona. It's also a popular destination for field trips.
Alright, a little different than I'm used to in the desert, nice and chilly. Brought my jacket with me, but I like that. It's a nice change of temps. The pathway is only about a mile long, maybe a little over a mile. But it's a little bit steep and at altitude. Most people should be able to do it with no problem. So there's the pathway right there. Pretty breezy day out. Pretty nice. Didn't think I'd be wearing a jacket for a little while, but cooled off down in Phoenix, so I figured it probably cooled off here too. Beautiful, beautiful area. Doesn't look like there are a lot of people out on the trail, so that's good.
Featuring cliffside dwellings constructed by the Sinagua people nearly 1,000 years ago, visitors are able to get a glimpse into the past and see what life was like before modern technology.
See some homes right there. Right over there. Right there on the other side. You know, these people were definitely good climbers because the terrain here is quite technical. So they were traversing all these ridges very frequently. There's a cliffside dwelling right there.
A paved pathway guides people on a short loop trail past numerous dwellings, some of which have been restored and some that remain in their original condition, degraded from hundreds of years of exposure to the elements.
Here we go, Island Trail Loop. That's what we want to take. Alright, I'm on the Island Trail Loop. It's just a small loop around this place to showcase the various dwellings and whatnot. Obviously the Sinagua people didn't have the luxury of having paved or very carved out pathways like this, but it's pretty nice.
I've been to Walnut Canyon quite a bit, and I've never seen any wildlife, but that changed in a very amazing way on this trip.
I don't see anyone else, so this is pretty sweet. I got most of this to myself. I always try and get to places early, that way they don't fill up later in the afternoon.
Just as I was panning the camera towards the dwellings, something on the pathway caught my eye.
Hey buddy, aren't you pretty?
The Sonoran mountain king snake, while not rare in terms of numbers, is quite a rare sight to see. I have a friend on Instagram who photographs snakes full time, and he's only seen 2. This was quite a treat.
Well, that was neat. Saw a snake right off the bat. It's always a good trip when you see a cool snake right away. I've actually never seen a snake down here. I've been down here 4 times. So I was actually down here with Ben and Leah from Combi Life, a channel on YouTube called Combi Life, Kombi Life, and yeah, we had a lot of fun down here. That's a great channel, so you guys should definitely check that out. They're traveling the world in a VW bus right now. Nicest people in the world, love those guys. So definitely check them out and give them a subscribe.
The The Sinagua people were quite industrious. Their construction methods were very precise, and the homes they crafted certainly stood the test of time. Strategically picking a cliffside location for their dwellings enabled them to have more protection from any hostile outsiders, as well as shield them from the elements.
You can still see the char on the walls from hundreds and hundreds of years ago when they used to make fires in there. Pretty insane. So I'm sure I've already done the narration at this point, but about 800 years ago, the Sinagua people lived and flourished here. They farmed, they cultivated, they had very little water to work with, but they were very industrious people. And I believe a volcanic eruption displaced them. I could be wrong about that. I think that's what happened. I'll look it up and I'll make sure my narration is correct. You can tell that they definitely picked a good place here because it's really windy, but it's not windy down here. The canyon really provides refuge from the elements. So, I mean, you can definitely see why they wanted to live here. Aside from the fact that it's also very hard to get down. So if they have enemies trying to attack them, good luck. I'm 6 feet and change and I got plenty of room.
It was not uncommon for an entire family to live in a single dwelling. Some of the smaller rooms were likely used for storage. There were also areas designated for cooking and preparing meat. The Sinagua worked together and had a strong sense of community. Banding together and helping one another, their community flourished. Each person had a job or a responsibility that would benefit all.
So it looks like this one right here was a storage room. Apparently the larger rooms were used to house the families, and they had a lot of smaller rooms like this that were used as storage. Now, unfortunately, this site was home to a lot of looting back in the late 1800s, early 1900s. So settlers really did loot this place. I'm not sure how much of it is restored versus how much is original. I know they tried to leave a lot original, but they definitely restored some of it. I bet you on the rock behind me, they probably climbed up there a lot and sat and took in the views. There's where I came in right there. So you can see it's a little bit of a walk. Now the way down is easy, so everyone's like, oh, this is great. The way up, you got stairs, you got altitude, you've got pretty quick climb up. So definitely that's why they tell you to bring water. That's why they tell you to come prepared. Sunscreen, water, all that stuff. So I would imagine a larger room like this is probably living quarters, obviously. There's some char on the wall there too.
These dwellings are captivating. Thanks to a little ancient engineering, the walls were designed to allow for proper airflow that enabled them to have fires inside. Air would flow in through the doorways and circle out through a small vent at the top of the wall. If you come on a weekday during the school year, you're likely to see a school bus parked out front. Fortunately for me, school just started back up and field trips weren't really on the docket just yet, so I had the whole trail to myself.
So it looks like, according to this right here, it looks like back in the day, so they had snow runoff, which created a bunch of water supply right down there. And they also had summer monsoons, just like we do down in Phoenix, and that would also replenish their supply. But in the dry months, they actually had to store water, so that's why they're called Sinagua, without water. They had to store water and be very resourceful and make sure that they had enough to last during the dry season. So Down there is the little canyon area in which they used to get water from. Here's what they looked like. They were all walled off. Very clever design. You'd have your fire here. They designed it so the air would actually funnel out. They even covered the doors with animal skin. So you can see, I would imagine this is probably partially restored. That's how they looked walled off.
Park rangers have made their original dwellings off limits, while they do let you explore some of the restored ones.
Pretty neat being able to see something like this that existed hundreds of years before us. Here's another doorway you're not supposed to go in. Stick the camera in there a little bit.
While here, you need to make sure to respect any boundaries in which you're not allowed to cross.
Wow, look at that. It's pretty amazing you get to stand where Native Americans stood so many years ago. Look at the char. I don't know how well this camera is going to pick up the low light. Very well preserved. You can actually smell it. It's got kind of a woody smell to it still. You can still see the fingerprints from when they were putting this whole thing together. Look at that. That's pretty incredible.
Walnut Canyon is a mesmerizing place. My imagination always drifts off to what it must have been like, waking up in a cliffside dwelling with so many neighbors.
Now let's check out their neighbor's house. Quite a step up there. I hate to say it, that doesn't look, it looks like maybe some idiot carved that in there possibly. I don't know. Either way, not cool. And you still get a feel for how nice it is and how out of the elements you are. I mean, it's windy outside. I'm in here, it feels like being in a house. They were very, very good craftsmen. Okay, so right above me there is the hole where the fire would come out, and based on the lack of char, I'd say it was most likely restored, but still pretty cool. Still shows you the design. It's like a studio apartment in New York right there. Maybe bigger. So I guess back in the day, looting and digging up Native American sites for souvenirs was a common practice and actually promoted and looked upon favorably in society in the 1800s. Which today we all know is very terrible and a disgusting thing to do. And this is the end result. All the walls are torn down, everything's dug up. And all for what? All so that some people can take home souvenirs that are maybe going to get lost, passed down, and completely lose their historical meaning as the decades go on. It's not right. And in 1915, Woodrow Wilson made this a federally protected national monument. So thank goodness for that, because if he didn't, this probably wouldn't even exist in the shape it's in right now. And if you do happen upon any sort of artifact while you're in Walnut Canyon, don't touch it, don't pick it up. If it's an arrowhead or something like that you think they might want to put on display, go tell a park ranger, let them know the location, and they can figure out the right course of action for that. that looks like the end of the loop, and I'm going to be heading back up, so I don't think I'll need to really film that. I'm just going up a bunch of stairs back to the visitor center, but this is a great place and highly recommended. People should definitely come and check this out. It's really neat to be this close to such a significant piece of history and get to see how life was like way back then. So if you're in northern Arizona, definitely check out Walnut Canyon. It's an amazing place and well worth it. Absolutely gorgeous and really fascinating to see how life was like way back then and see how industrious people were to be able to build their houses in the canyon like this. It's incredible. All right, till next time.